As we said, we have first the primary norm, that is the will of God. But since the applicable part, it is a difficult thing, we need something proximate, and we know the meaning of proximate, something very closer to us, near to us, so that we can refer to that. Then it will be easy for us to go forward. So what is the proximate norm of morality then? And St. Thomas Aquinas says, the proximate norm of morality is nothing but your nature. The rational nature of a human person is called the proximate norm. That means God created you with a particular nature, and God's will is this: by your nature you have to glorify God. By your nature you have to glorify God. So your nature, if you are able to understand what is my real nature, then there will not be any confusion in my moral day-to-day life, because I can discern then what is good and what is evil. So this study of the norms of morality will empower me, help me to go forward in my moral life. So let us go a little bit deeper in this concept of the proximate norm of morality, that is the human nature. And actually, what do you mean by human nature? Human nature, we can say that there are three elements in a human nature. Basically speaking, there are three elements in human nature. First and foremost, by your very nature, you are a rational being. That is why Aristotle defined you. Man is a rational animal. It is his rationality that is separating him with all other animal kingdom. What is the distinguishing factor in my life? It is my rationality. So by your very life, you are a rational being. You are a rational being. That means you have something greater than the animal kingdom and the vegetative kingdom. And when you are able to fulfill that rationality, the rational appetite, then it will be very easy for you to move forward. So first of all, we are rational animals. Therefore, whenever there is any confusion there, first look for the higher level of your moral life, that is as a rational animal or a rational being. So fulfill that rational purpose. Then second only the vegetative level or the sensuous level, then there will not be any confusion. So that's the first basic character of our nature, that we are all a rational animal. Second, not only we are rational, we are basically social animal, social being. Only human persons can consider a social being in its perfect sense. That means we are all living in a society, and we are not at all a separate island. And we cannot, as the early fathers, the desert fathers went into the cave, as we have just this week the feast of Saint Benedict. For 20 years he spent in the cave called the cave. But we are people not separated from our community. Therefore, we are all social being, meaning our day-to-day affairs with other human beings, other people of the community. Not only other people of the community, the coming generations, what should be our responsibility and how we should behave. So our morality is concerned. The second principle, man is basically a social being. And finally, the third nature, man is a creature of God. Man is not an omnipotent being. Man cannot claim that I am so powerful and I am self-made. No, you are a creature of God. That means you have all your limitedness, and only if God wills, you can be a living creature. Otherwise, you can be nothing in this world. So these are the three facts of our human nature. First of all, by our nature, we are a rational being. By our nature, we are basically a social being, and by our nature, we are a creature of God. And dear friends, you know, if you take the 10 Commandments, basically this one only. what should be our relation with God, what should be our relation with the other people of the society, and what should be the relation between myself, my life. So how should I behave to myself, my body, my soul, my spirit? How should I behave? And if I am going against that, automatically it is something wrong. So otherwise it is something right. And what should be my relation with my community members? When it is going against them, then it is something wrong. Otherwise it is good. And what should be my relation to God? And when it is going smooth, it is something nice and good. Otherwise it is something evil. So these are the things we have to be very careful. That is why it is that the human nature is the proximate norm of morality. Something more is important. As we said, the three facts of ethics we said, each and every person within their innermost heart always feel that there is always a judge residing in our innermost self, and whenever we do something evil or something bad, that prick of conscience will be there, then that will be always accusing me. Whenever I do something good, that conscience will be encouraging me and I will be a happy person. Each and every one is having this faculty within them. So St. Thomas Aquinas says, this is a subjective norm of morality, that is your own conscience. And Mahatma Gandhi used to say, this is the innermost voice, or God's voice given in the heart of man, soul of man, that whenever man is going astray, God's voice will be echoing in his heart, hey, it is wrong, come back. So these are the three norms as according to St. Thomas Aquinas: the will of God, human nature, and moral conscience. And now let us go deeper into the concept of moral conscience. Conscience can be defined as the immediate judgment of practical reason. As we know, ethics is an immediate judgment of practical reason with respect to the character of individual acts as being permitted, commanded, or forbidden. These are the three things the conscience will tell us. That means each and every individual act when we take, the conscience will say, that means certain activities are permitted. That means either you can do it or not. No need. There is no compulsion there. There are so many things are there like that. It is permitted for you. The law is permitting you. You go for that. No matter, even if you don't go, no problem. So certain activities are permitted in our life. Okay. But certain activities are commanded in our life. We have to do, we should do. We should do certain things. It's a command. And certain activities are forbidden. We should not do at all. So these are the way our conscience will always telling us, man, your particular activity. Now listen, these things, if you want, you can go for it. If you don't want, no need, no problem. But this kind of activities, you have to do it. Otherwise, you will be in wrong path. And certain activities, you should not do that. Then it is okay for you. For example, the 10 commandments we have, these commandments are always either it is commanding us or forbidding us. Love your neighbor is a command, and it is commanding us. We have to love our neighbor. And never kill or never commit adultery. It is something forbidden. You should not do that. But certain other things in our day-to-day life, either you want it, go. Otherwise, you need not go. For example, if there is a film and there is a permission, those who want, you can go. Others, if you want to go and pray, or others, if you want to do something else, you are free. That means it is permitted but not compelled. So this is the conscience is always telling us. So it is the immediate subjective norm of our moral life. And when we understand the dictate of our conscience, that means how this conscience is working in our life, then it will be easy for us. So we have to make sure that what kind of conscience I have. When I am able to understand what kind of conscience that is required in my life, and what kind of conscience I have to create in my life, and what kind of conscience that is giving this command in my life, and how far I have to obey my conscience above the above the things of the world, then it will be easy to understand then what should my morality must be and how should I behave in this community. So let us see. This is one of the most important part of our study, the dictates of conscience, the nature of our conscience, the moral conscience. And each and everyone, whether you are a Christian or a non-Christian, believer or a non-believer, this thing is a must in your life for everybody. It is something very, very important. And let us see. The dictate of conscience. That means the conscience within us will work like a dictator. Will work like a dictator. A dictator is the one, he used to give the commands and always wanted obedience from the subject. So such a harsh commands, and always our conscience is just like that as a dictator. That means if we disobey our conscience, then we will be feeling so unhappy and we cannot be a normal person at all. Therefore, we have to follow our conscience more than anything else. So, what kind of conscience then it must be? We have to obey. Only when we are able to distinguish between different levels of conscience, then it will be easy for us to understand. So, let us see what all are the different levels of conscience or different types of conscience. First and foremost, we can say true and certain conscience. Two words are very important there. True and certain. We know what is truth in our epistemology classes. What is truth? The correspondence between the subject and the object. That is the truth. Meaning, when I see something in front of me and I decide that it is that something, and if that is true, then I can say it is a true thing. It's a truth. In front of me, there is a podium, and I say that it is made up of wood. I don't know what kind of wood, no matter. It is made up of wood and not a metal. Then if it is correct, then I can say my statement is a true statement. Otherwise, it is a false statement. Therefore, a true statement or truth means the correspondence between the subject, the knowing subject and the known object. When it is correct, then I can say it is truth. When I see a person, I notice him and say, oh, it is Johnson. And if it is Johnson, it is true. But if it is James, it is a false statement. So, no correspondence between what I say, what I utter and what is there. So, that is the truth factor in a statement. And certainty. Certainty means internal conformity or internal sureness that what I say is correct. I know absolutely it is the correct thing. 100% I am sure. It is a surety within my heart. That is called a certainty. I am certain about it. The different levels or different types of conscience in us. And when we are able to know that, then it is easy for us to discriminate between what is good and what is evil and how to follow our conscience and as an inner voice. The first and foremost, we have true and certain conscience. The two words we have to note here, the truth and the certainty. True and certain. The conscience is having two capacities. It must be true and it must be certain. What do you mean by a true conscience? Actually, what is truth? In our epistemology classes, we already studied what is truth. It is the external conformity between the knowing subject and the known object. Once again, the external conformity between the knowing subject and the known object. An example, in front of me, this podium. Looking at it, I know that it is made up of wood, not metal. And actually, yes, it is made up of wood. That means what I say, my statement is a true statement. Because there is a conformity between the knowing subject as me and the known object, this podium. Or else, when I see somebody coming, hi, Brother Johnson. But he said, no, I'm not Johnson, I'm James. If it is Johnson, then my statement is true. If it is James, my statement is false. Not truth at all. Therefore, whenever we make our conscience, first thing, the first condition, it must be true. That means what I say or what my conscience is telling must be true. Second part, it must be certain. That means certainty means internal surety, that I have no doubt at all, I am certain about this. Then that is called certainty. If there is no certainty, then we can say there is doubt. If there is doubt, then it's a problematic thing. I know that. No, you are not James, you are Johnson. You are just cheating me. You are Johnson. I am deadly sure about it. If I say like that, and if he is Johnson, okay, well and good. But I am certain that he is Johnson. Even if he says he is James or Johnson or Babu or anybody, but I know he is Johnson. Already fixed in my heart, and I am certain, and I have no doubt at all. That is called certainty. So when this certainty is correct with the truth, that means what I utter, what I say is true, and I am fully convinced about it. If my conscience is like that, my conscience is telling in this particular moment, you have to do like this, then only it will become a morally good act, or you should not do this, otherwise it will be a morally evil act there. And if my conscience is true and certain, I have no doubt about it, and I believe that what is true, then such kind of conscience, if it is telling me something, I have to obey it 100%. I have to obey it 100%. No matter what my superiors speak, no matter the government speak, no. I need not worry about those things, because what is more important is following my conscience. Stand by my conscience, provided that it must be a true and certain conscience. But unfortunately, this truth and certainty may not be there always. So we just falling down to the second grade, the erroneous conscience. It came from the word error, a mistake, a mistaken conscience. There, what is the mistake? The truth value is missing, but I am certain about it. This is a problematic thing, because I believe that what I am telling is 100% true, but you all know that there is no truth at all in that. And many of our confusions and many of our arguments, all those things are coming, all our fighting just because of this. Because in a debate, each and one and the other, they believe that their position 100% sure position, and they are fighting, but they are knowing that the other one is a false one. And they were accusing each other. Any community it is happening. That means they are certain about what they are claiming, but objectively speaking, no truth at all, it is something false. But unfortunately, this person cannot understand that, because he has no doubt about his certainty. This is a problematic thing. So if that is the case, you are in the second level, that means subjectively certain but objectively erroneous. Objectively you are wrong, no truth at all, but you are unaware that, and you believe that whatever you say is true. So if your conscience is telling something in this level, that means you are fully certain about it, but unfortunately it is not true, then what we have to do, whether we have to follow our conscience or not. St. Thomas Aquinas will say, you have to follow your conscience. You have to follow your conscience, because you have no doubt about it, and fully you are convinced that what you are doing is a good thing. There, you have to follow your conscience. Therefore, dear friends, why this distinction I am discussing here? There are moments in our life we will be so stubborn regarding our judgment, And we believe that what I am telling is 100% true, and I am fully certain, and I have no doubt, and you are the people in wrong side. When I make such a judgment, I should know that there is a possibility of erroneousity in my life. The presence of erroneous conscience. That is why when you take any decision, even if you are 100% sure, it is better to consult somebody. Before taking any major decisions, it is better to consult somebody. And if anybody is criticizing you or telling something against you, or they may be suggesting something other than what you think, always believe that there is something there is some meaning, and they are actually asking me, go back to my decision and find out how far my certainty is true or not. So I should have such an openness in my heart and in my life, and that will be a great blessing. That will become a great blessing in my day-to-day life. Therefore, never be stubborn about your position. Always check and recheck and recheck. Then we will be happy persons, and in the community we can have a better relationship. That's the second level of conscience, that is subjectively certain but objectively erroneous. So first thing, true and certain. Objectively true, subjectively certain. And the second, subjectively certain but objectively erroneous or false. The third, doubtful conscience. Doubtful conscience, that means what is lacking here is the internal thing, the certainty part. Opposite of certainty is called doubt. I have the confusion whether I am right or wrong. And this problem will come always in our moral judgments. And normally ordinary people, that is why they go for counseling, and they always ask guidance, and they always ask and believe that you will be the people guiding the ordinary people. Because you are the people fortunate enough to study the norms of morality and the ethics as a subject. And when you study and when you are capable enough, and then you will be people eligible to guide other people in their confusions, in the doubtful nature. So when a person is in doubt, what I have to do, this way or this way, and they are in confusion, and they will be looking for an answer, and especially in moral matters. I repeat, in moral matters, not in ordinary matters, but in moral matters, if you have any genuine confusion or doubt in your heart, whether it is right or wrong, St. Thomas Aquinas will say, stop there. Don't proceed. Don't proceed. Unless and until you clarify this doubt, then only you have to proceed. I say in moral matters. But in ordinary life, there will be always confusion, and we cannot wait for somebody to guide us in everything in our life. We have to take the decision either this side or that side. But in major matters and moral matters, if you have any doubt, then you are supposed to do nothing but remain and go and clarify it. Then only you proceed. With doubt, you cannot do anything morally good or evil. That is the third level of conscience, that means doubtful conscience. Then we have two more types of conscience, and it is in the psychological level, and it may not come in the matters of our morality, but those people need treatment. The doubtful conscience people need counseling or guidance, that's enough. But there are two more types of conscience, and that is called the perplexed conscience. And the fifth, scrupulous conscience. Perplexity and scrupulosity. What is the perplexed conscience? That means a person cannot take any decision at all in his life. Even in ordinary matters, that person is always depending upon somebody to take decision, and such conditions in life, that means they are unable to take any decision, always fearing that whether it will be good or bad, and how should I move. And many people simply slave to somebody in order to get the advice, and everything in their life will be according to the direction of somebody else, and such people can be manipulated very easily, the simple soul, and those people need psychological treatment. the perplexed conscience, the perplexity. That means always in confusion, unable to take any judgments in their life. And they cannot be in higher positions. They cannot be in a decision-making positions. They will make everything collapse. And the fifth one, scrupulosity, scrupulous conscience. This is a psychological disease actually. What is scrupulosity? Meaning always thinking that whatever I do, it will become sin. Always they believe that whatever I do, it will become sin. Therefore, they will be always in a tormented state and they cannot do anything. And even that is again the problem with them. So I am not doing anything. What will be my condition? So if they do something, they will have the scrupulosity. If they don't do that, then there will be a scrupulosity. They will be always suffering and this will be something very tormenting in their life. So these are the 5 levels of conscience. We know the true uncertain conscience, the subjectively true, subjectively certain but objectively erroneous, the doubtful conscience, the perplexed conscience and the scrupulous conscience. So I think, so when the dictates of conscience, then we can say that we have to follow the first 2. But we should have always the openness for criticism and guidance from other people. If somebody is criticizing me, believe that there is something and I have to go back and refer back and I have to reconfirm, reassess my all things, then only I can proceed, then I can have a conscience which is in the higher level, true and certain. Dear friends, I believe that this course of ours will help you to have this level of conscience in your moral judgments. And it is always required from you, always. Therefore, let us strive for it. So with this, we stop this chapter of moral act. Now we know what is a moral act and how to judge between what is good and what is evil, and we know what should be our moral norms. I taught you here only the Christian moral norms as the will of God and human nature and your conscience. There are so many other things. The Kant we have studied in our historical part, or the Epicureans, the utilitarianism, the pragmatism, all these isms, they have their own norms of morality and they may not go with the Christian norms of morality. Therefore, I believe you will be the prophets of Christian morality, propagating actually what is the true moral principles. Thank you.